Okay, good afternoon. Hopefully this is working. If there is anybody out there in chat, could you please let me know if you can hear me? I'm going to go ahead and grab my phone. I apologize. I had an hour-long stream a little bit ago, and I was completely unaware that there was no audio being pushed out into YouTube. Everything looked like it was fine. The little green dots were going and all that kind of happy stuff. And it was just absolutely not pushing any audio. So let me go ahead. Oh, and we got audio. Fantastic. Okay, I'll be. Oh, that's confusing. 1 minute, y'all. Okay. Alrighty then. So, well, everything happens for a reason. And I think that the reason being this time around is I did go off on a little bit of a side quest towards the end of. Hi, Earth. Thank you so much for being here. I don't know if you knew what happened, but goodness gracious, I did an hour-long stream with absolutely no audio, none whatsoever. I talked to myself essentially, and everything happens for a reason. Apparently, the chat in Restream crashed, so I wasn't getting push notifications from YouTube. I didn't have my YouTube studio open, so if there were chats going on letting me know that there was no audio, I wouldn't have known. The little green light was on, everything seemed fine. Thank you, Earth. I appreciate it. You know, uh, Obviously, some people sat through the silence because I did have slides going. But um, like I said, everything happens for a reason. I did go off on a bit of a side quest and went on a tangent for the last 20 minutes. I swore. Um, I called people out that I got very upset. But it's quite apropos that that did happen. And as I said, everything happens for a reason. And considering that in the 2 hours or so that I've been out and about since my stream, calming down and just, YouTube's throwing me recommendations. And what I want to talk about is the Crama Chameleon and everything, and how channel owners, creators, subscribers, viewers, members on social media, how they're chameleons. And while the ability to mimic and the chameleon effect in society is primarily a good thing, it helps us as we grow. We learn social cues. Um, it's inevitable that when you spend a lot of time with somebody that you will pick up on some of their mannerisms and all that. But it is a social phenomenon. But it to a degree as far as social media goes. And what happens is, in my view, in my opinion, and to a certain degree, a few other people's opinion that are much more learned than I am, because uh, psychology is not my primary focus. That was my secondary major. But in sociology, as far as social media goes, for years, I've participated in several different studies. And the chameleon effect in regards to social media, and where I think this is important because of the amount of scams in the various communities that have come up. And the question remains, how does this happen? How are we not knowing that this is happening in these small isolated groups? And it's the chameleon effect. They watch, they see, they study. They will observe what's happening in a chat. What's the main topic of discussion? Is there somebody in that chat that's feeling a certain way? Is the channel host feeling a certain way? What is the creator of the channel on the live? And this is predominantly for live streams. And because YouTube seems to promote live streaming more so over than the long form video creation like it used to, you're seeing it more and more. Whatever the channel creator is projecting, that person's going to pick up on it and they're going to manipulate. And that's not everybody. That's not what I'm saying, that it's everybody, but it allows for people to ingratiate themselves to the degree that they're able to scam or to con. And given that we've had a couple of channels pop off and they're like, well, we're burning it down. It's this, it's that. And then most recently this morning with the Moon and Crama situation. And this happens to be a channel that I'm only a little bit aware of simply because it was sent to me when she was reviewing or discussing me in regards to a comment that I made in a chat. And it is what it is, as the saying goes. I chose not to. At first, I was quite upset because there were a lot of people in that chat that I associated with for months, and not one person stuck up or spoke up or chatted up or what have you and said, well, wait a minute, that's her opinion based on her experience. She's not somebody that lambasts other creators. She's not somebody that's talking ish behind other people's backs. She's not behind the scenes doing anything that they would at least be aware of. I've spoken to, I've emailed 3 individuals within this so-called Crama community. I've received 2 emails back, and one of the individuals I'm a moderator for. So if that tells you something, I'm not in other people's ears. As I said, this isn't my job. This is barely a hobby. I don't sit in these chats for hours and hours and hours on end. But that also brings up, before I jump into my presentation here, the fact that this is kind of like a swan song in a way. I've determined that what is Crama, true crime, tit for tat community, whatever it is now, what it's become, is not for me. I am too old. I've never been the type of person that thrives on drama or needs to be in the thick of things. I'm more of the, I guess, wallflower. I appreciated the conversations in the beginning when I got introduced to several of these channels, because there was a back and forth dialogue happening within the chat and with the channel creators, with the channel hosts, the panels, or what have you. That misinformation needs to be corrected. Some people are really going too far. The BHBs of the Julie Skolnicks, the Justins. We're all aware. And when I say we all, there are about 12 channels that it appears in my observation that subscribers circulate through. They come and they go. Okay, Crama Chameleon. We come and go. And this arena is not for me. I don't want to be involved with it because there is no more dialogue back and forth. There is no wanting to, how can we effectuate change? I will say this much. One thing I've learned as a result of being in this area for the past year or so is that there is a need that needs to be addressed. out in the real world as far as um, protecting the dignity of individuals that are missing or have been murdered, or if there is a cold case that involves children or young adults. Oh, quite frankly, I'll say with even adults, because what I've seen is the fact that there are creators that are going down to the, give me your blood type, your bra size, and the last thing you ate. I mean, it's back to the AOL chat, or the IRC chats of ASL. It's ridiculous. And the fact that if somebody gets pissed off at somebody else, well, you know what, I have their real name, or I know where they live. Let me go ahead and do a street search. Let me do a FOIA. uh, you know and while sunshine laws are fantastic, and while FOIA is an excellent thing that we have the ability to access for certain things, to use it to go after somebody that you're upset with or angry with, or you don't like the opinion of, that's a bit much. Okay. That that's I, that just reminds me of being in a social setting with a bunch of women that are catty, and somebody finds out that, well, you know what, Joe and I aren't together anymore because I found out that Susie over there was messing around, with my boyfriend 2 weeks ago at a party. So next thing you know, it's backbiting, and it's the gossip, and it's the rumors. You're going to go after them and do what you want to make them feel bad, or to embarrass them, or to humiliate them. When what we have here is, it's not even in the abstract, it's in your face. It's a parasocial environment that's digital, and because more and more of our time is being spent online, there is such a blurring. There is an absolute blurring that's going on, and I want to address that with the chameleon effect, and what chameleoning is, and how it's impacted this particular community. However, it is social media wide, it is YouTube wide, and maybe move on from there, um, and then show you that, I'm not going anywhere. I can't be live 3 or 4 times a week, and I can't upload videos like I would like to, because I have my own issues. I have my own health issues, and I also have my own, offline, online type of work that I do. I am a volunteer. I volunteer my time, my energy, my experience to organizations and to groups. That's what I do to give back. That's what I choose to do. I don't want to choose. I don't choose to spend 2 and 3 hours in a trauma-filled chat where it's no longer facilitating a dialogue or discussion about what can we do, what where do we need to start, how can we fix this to maintain the dignity of these people that can't speak for themselves, or maintain the dignity and solitude of families that are going through incredibly difficult times because they're missing a loved one. um, it's turned into having opinions on the personalities of other chatters and channel creators. And so because of that, I'm excusing myself um, from that from that aspect of the community. But here we go. Let's go on to my presentation. I thank you all for being here. And it could just be me and 2 other people, and that's fine. You can come back and watch the replay. That's always appreciated. And if you do watch the replay, please feel free to comment. I appreciate all the comments, and it's good for engagement. So the Crama Chameleon: who, what, where, when, and why. The chameleon effect, the perception, behavior link, and social interaction. The chameleon effect is a phenomenon that finds us mimicking the mannerisms, gestures, or facial expressions of the people we interact with most often. It causes us to subconsciously make behavioral changes to match the behavior of people in your close social circles or even with strangers. The Chameleon Effect, the Perception, Behavior Link, and Social Interaction, Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, 1999. Uh, that would be for Bar Chartland TLJA. You can look that up. Thank you, Earth. I appreciate it. You can look that up further. Also, you can go to the the public-facing portion of pubmed.ncbi.nim.nih.gov, and you can put in you can search for the chameleon effect. There are some white papers and a few open source um, sociology studies that people were actually put into rooms and or spent a week in a room and were studied, and they're fascinating studies. I would encourage anybody to look them up. Okay, why the chameleon effect happens. Mimicking a person, whether unconsciously or not, is something we all do regularly. While we might mimic a person consciously for the fun of it, it's unclear if we mimic other people subconsciously. Researchers believe we do it because it has the potential to positively influence our social interactions with others. When you mirror the behavior of a person close to you, the person whose behavior is being mirrored notices it, and this causes positive feelings. It's worth noting the term mimicking can sometimes take a negative intonation, but it simply means copying and in most cases is done harmlessly. Examples of the chameleon effect. The chameleon effect is often subtle and we may not even notice when doing it. Some of the ways this phenomenon might manifest include mimicking the verbal expressions or speech patterns of a friend, crossing your arms when you are talking to someone who also has their arms crossed, smiling when you are talking to someone who is also smiling, mimicking the posture of other people during a meeting, adopting the same gestures with your conversation with a partner or that a partner is using the same tone of voice as the person you are talking with, crossing your legs when someone else crosses theirs, nodding your head, or making other head movements that mimic those of your conversational partner. The perception, behavior link, and social interaction, the impact of chameleon effect. It's perfectly normal. If you live or interact with another person or people for long enough, you are bound to pick up on some of their body language, including behaviors, mannerisms, facial expressions, and gestures. You might particularly notice the chameleon effect in couples who have been together for a long time or with best friends. When people are genuinely empathetic, they pay more attention and form deeper connections with the person they are interacting with, making them more likely to mimic. However, when people who aren't very empathetic attempt to mimic someone else, the gesture can ring false. This can have the opposite effect of the social advantages one typically gets because of the chameleon effect. Empathy is a powerful force that helps maintain social order and cooperation, which is what makes it such a powerful force in relationships. It is a mechanism that allows people to understand and relate to others. Impact advantages of the chameleon effect and social media. It cultivates empathy. Learn to be more empathetic towards other people. Empathy is about putting yourself in someone else's shoes and feeling what they feel. Now, and again, this also is part of manipulation. So be aware of that. If you are experiencing empathy with someone, the chameleon effect is more likely to occur naturally. Become a good listener. Listen to understand and not just respond when speaking with another person. Again, this is the chameleon effect. It's also a tactic of the manipulator and the scammer and the con artist, the Crama Chameleon, the person, the Crama tourist, the person that's going chat to chat to chat to chat, is starting to befriend, then going somewhere else and befriending. They're picking up on the stories that are being told, and they're finding ways to incorporate that for a scam, for a con. Again, it's not just exclusive to this community, it's social media wide, but you need to be aware of it. And that's why it's so important that we guard ourselves. Just for example, yesterday, I saw somebody in a chat casually say, today's my daughter's birthday. She's 28 years old. So right then and there, boom, you know, the day, the month, and the year that child was born. You know that it's a female. And if you go back and look, you could probably see that that chatter has probably said, oh yeah, well, my daughter's a hairdresser, or my daughter works for PNC Bank, or what. They're picking up on all of that. Every little bit of information that you're putting into a chat is being picked up on. And again, there's not everybody is here for the right reasons. And this goes for channel owners as well. This goes for creators as well. There's been plenty of YouTubers themselves, streamers themselves, that have scammed their audience. They have scammed other creators. That's well documented. You can search that out for yourself as well. Again, do it for the right reasons, to gain certain, like if you're forcing the chameleon effect to gain certain advantages over a person, um, you'll pick up on certain things. And there's not a lot of creators that I'll spend a lot of time listening to, but recently, because of the implosion in certain cliques in the Karama area, you'll hear like, well, I was picking up a bad vibe, or something just didn't seem right. Is that after the fact, or were they really picking up on that earlier on? Likelihood is yeah, probably they were, because the person they were picking it up from perhaps wasn't, was forcing that, that empathy, forcing that engagement. And again, I'm telling you, this particular community is rife with so much, The reason the chameleon effect is effective is because it occurs unconsciously and automatically. You'll only experience the social benefits of this phenomenon if it is perceived as natural and authentic. Remember to avoid intentionally copying others' actions, and instead focus on listening, showing empathy, and being genuine. This is just how to be a decent human being. You can go to wellbeing.com or wellbeing.org, and these studies are also there. Okay. The digital age and parasocial relationships. In the ever-changing world of digital media, the landscape of social interaction has expanded. Parasocial relationships have become increasingly prevalent through the increase of social media platforms. These platforms give influencers, brands, and celebrities a new way to connect with users as they consume content. Parasocial relationships are one-sided relationships where one person invests their time, interest, and energy with a prominent figure, while this figure is completely unaware of their existence. These relationships are not a new development. In fact, the term was first used in 1956 to describe the relationship between a media personality and a spectator. Parasocial relationships are a common phenomenon between a fan and a figure. Research from ThriveWorks shows that 51% of Americans are likely to have been in a parasocial relationship. However, only 16% admit to it. With social media's popularity, parasocial relationships have proliferated. With many people being on the receiving end of the relationship, social media gives users more access into the everyday lives of their favorite celebrities or influencers. And at this point, influencers, as because that's, you might as well say that's what content creators are here on YouTube as well. They are influencers because they sure do have the ability to influence a lot of people, especially in the audience. Whether that influence is good or bad remains to be seen. We all have our opinions on that. I take exception to the fact that there's a lot of, okay, not a lot. There are a few creators within this particular genre that lack a foundational knowledge in certain things that they discuss. So therefore, it is the BS your way through the situation, and people on the outside looking in, i.e., the audience, um, become baffled by the BS, and they form their opinion with a lack of foundation as well, and that perpetuates. It just perpetuates, and they come and they go. They will circle through, these 12 key channels through the chats, and it is a cycle. It is an absolute cycle. The rise of social media influencers brings up a new form of parasocial relationships. Viewers of influencer or content produced, live streaming produced content find themselves relating to these influencers on a personal level, thus making many of them feel like they know the influencer personally. Gaurav Roth, a University of Alabama, Roll Tide, doctoral candidate in communication studies, noted how the accessibility of these social media influencers has led to an evolution in these parasocial relationships. Users have been able to reach out to influencers and direct message them. And that brings me up to the Discord phenomenon that is no longer for gamers, but it is for any streamer. And that comes with it the good and the bad as well. Hey, Liberty Farmer. Hi, Shaylee. Thank you so much for stopping in. I really appreciate it. Direct message them, he said, increasing the perception of intimacy. As social media continues to shape our interactions, the line between friend and follower has been blurred. Platformmagazine.org, the ethics of parasocial relationships in the digital age. And if you'll notice, public relations PR campaigns take advantage of this as well. And that goes back to a lot of what Bernays has said years ago, when using the sports star and so forth. I think it was Bernays. I may be incorrect on that. I'm sure somebody will correct me. But it was Huxley actually that started PR. But oh gosh, I'm racking my brain. As I said, I'm not a spring chicken. I'm 57 going on 58. So we are with that. But anyway, so let's move on before I get on another side quest. Okay. Chameleoning, fitting in, negative impact on self and on others. Chameleoning, adjusting oneself to fit into any social situation. While on the face, it isn't an entirely bad thing. For example, the way you conduct yourself at work isn't necessarily the way you will behave around family or even your friend group. Internal alignment is part of growing, understanding the world around you and how you fit in. Kiki, no, get down, honey. Come on, get down. Come on, get down. Thank you. Sorry, guys. Constantly adapting one's behavior to fit in can lead to identity confusion and a lack of authenticity. Individuals may struggle to establish a strong sense of self-identity as they are constantly molding themselves to match the expectations of others. This can result in feelings of emptiness and disconnection. Furthermore, social chameleon behavior can hinder the formation of genuine and meaningful relationships. When individuals are constantly adapting their behavior, it becomes challenging for others to truly know and connect with them on a deeper level. This can lead to a sense of loneliness and dissatisfaction in relationships. However, Chameleoning is also how scammers and manipulators fit in to gain trust. What is a natural part of adapting to social situations can be used as part of a con. When using this ability to seamlessly fit into any group to take advantage, one look no further than on social media platforms to find the very real people that have been victims of scammers and con artists that adapted to the community before enacting their scam or their con. Um, and that's it. That's what it is. That's what's going on, and it's in my opinion, it's all through Crama. Okay, that's the end of that presentation. Please remember to protect your privacy while chatting online. There are people watching, learning about you and your story. So, as I said in the beginning, I am going to be excusing myself from this so-called Crama community. It is not where I want to be spending my time. The conversations are not productive at this point, at least for me. I appreciate the acquaintances that I've made in the chats. And I know you can make friends with people online um, and on YouTube. You know, one of the people that goes through the various chats and has a channel, WWJ Willow, I have been acquainted with him for over 7 years through various communities. I consider him an acquaintance. Always been respectful to me. I've been kind to him. He's been kind to me. He's had my back back in the vape drama community. Um, you know, there's two other individuals that were in the that I met in the FE debate arena, um, and that's been 12 years. I consider friends, actual friends. There's one other person. She knows who she is, that I consider, or at least I feel that I'm forming a friendship with, um, that started online here within this arena, and so good things can happen, but by and large, it is this community has become nothing but backstabbing, backbiting, tit for tat. I'm going to go after somebody just to go after them. It's not. I'm not receiving any joy from it, so it's not for me. You know, I can pop into a little bit of internet drama now and then. You know, I'm human. However, but the day in and day out is not for me. And the reason I want to address it is because a few people have reached out that I've chatted with in the chat in, you know, during live streams in the live chat, have, you know, reached out through Twitter and through my email to be like, hey, listen, are you still around? You know, I know you weren't feeling well. Is everything all right? And is that a genuine reach out, or is that trying to get information, wanting to fit in what's going on, type of situation? I don't know. But so I'm going to openly say that, you know, while I'll still be here, I'm not going to be actively participating. I do mod for two people that are in and out of this area. If they want to maintain me as a mod, that's great. Um, you know, I'll absolutely still do that. But that's up to them if they want to. It's their channel, and that's, you know, that's their concern. Um, you know, I originally started seeking out the true crime because of a friend of mine whose case is cold. And as I have stated in chats, that I volunteer my time to search out patterns in cold cases through an organization. There are several. I encourage anyone that has any experience or would like to learn how to how to work with groups that do search through the files of cold cases. Get yourself a mentor and learn why it's necessary to go through. And if you have experience in a certain area, such as finance or mathematics, the legal realm, or if it's somebody, say, that worked in a particular industry and you happen to work in that victim's industry, you may have insight to what goes on. You know, what's the group dynamic in that certain setting, and you could possibly give good feedback. Again, I'm going off on a tangent, but no, a friend of mine was murdered, um, and Crime Stoppers has now, it's been 13 years. The case is cold, and I thought maybe that now that there's reward monies coming out, and they are wanting to publicly release uh, little bits of information that may be coming to social media, would be a good thing to get this out, because one of the pieces of information that's going to be coming out, there's a genre for it on the internet. And so maybe that group could look, you'd think, you throw things out there. So okay, so what's it like? Well, after this year, absolutely not. 100% in any capacity, whether it's in my advocacy work or in this work, I would tell victims and their families to avoid YouTube at the very least, like the bubonic plague. It is a rat with the bubonic plague. You stay away from it, because people on here will start out, yes, we want to help you, but as soon as your information gets out there, your case gets out there, there is that other sector that's going to come out there, and they are going to rip you to pieces. And that is wrong. And that's why, it's like, oh, well, laws need to change. It takes such a long time to get a law into place, because the steps. So my idea was, and I started looking into this almost 6 months ago. I started going through laws that are currently on the books, bills that are in front of state legislature and our U.S. Congress, acts that have bills that have turned into acts, and acts that are out there, that have memorandum review coming up. We have elections coming up in 2026 with new Congress. People wanting to hold their seats, or for reelection, or to have new elected, or new people want to challenge you. Y'all know what I mean. I'd like to think that y'all know how our government works. So this is a prime opportunity to get started now, to get the information out there. And I came upon an act, a law, that my idea is that we would do well for an amendment, but we have to maintain the freedom of speech is so important. Freedom of expression is so important. People still need to be able to have, civil discourse on things that are out there. And that being said, we have rules and laws in place for speech that goes beyond that, like the defamation, the libel, the slander, the speech that's not protected, the fighting words, inciting for violence, and so forth. So those are in place, but it's important that people be allowed to discuss, but not in the manner in which we've seen with this young man, Sebastian Rogers. And I am going to use his name today because he deserves that dignity, that I use his name, because this is what's happened. It's jaw-droppingly, and it's unfathomable that this is allowed to continue. And some of y'all have seen it. If you haven't, I'm sure if you Googled it or YouTube searched it, you'll see that this young man has been lost in his coverage by YouTubers. But what I what my suggestion is as that we work towards an amendment on the Respect for Child Survivors Act, which already integrates local law enforcement, FBI, NCMEC, child advocate centers, groups, professionals, after a child has been found or rescued from trafficking or similar circumstances, such as kidnapping. What I've been working on is to build upon that existing act with an amendment to include the dignity and respect for an active missing child or person in the social and public sphere. That's what I'm going to continue to do, because had it not been for this Crama community, I use that term loosely, but had it not been for Crama, I would have never known that there is a real world issue that needs to be addressed. So for that is something good that's come out of it. And I've met some really cool people. And my email and my comment section and my Twitter is open to anybody that, wants to keep in touch or wants to continue the conversation or has any questions, so there's that. But I am going to maintain my channel, and I'll end on this quick here. I was working on a little video. The likelihood is, unless I'm asked, I'm not going to continue with the quote unquote Crama type of content. I'm going to go, here we go. I'm going to go back to basics. Declassified projects, symbology, earth, frequency, and nature, and conspiracies, and all that type of stuff that I can, that we can have a discourse, we can have discussions about, we can laugh about, and maybe learn. And I appreciate the fact that there was one channel in this community that allowed me to come up on panel, not knowing me from anywhere, simply because I said, listen, I have some information that might be helpful. And that was Granny's Watching. And she allowed me to come up on that panel, not knowing me from anywhere, and give her information, give her some links so she could take that information and either share it or learn from it. And for that, I appreciate her for that, allowing me to do that, because as a result, other creators were able to have access to that information that they didn't know existed. So regardless of how some feel about this particular creator, I appreciate that. And that's all I've tried to do in chats for the most part, is share my experience and share the information so people can have, so they can have a foundational knowledge, or at least know which direction to go to gain that information, to gain that knowledge, to educate themselves, so that they can know where parents or family members are coming from, because they are being talked to by professionals most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time. And they are given direction on how to conduct themselves and how to stay out of the public eye, so they don't become subject to the dissection of every part of their life, their facial expressions, and so forth. It keeps them from becoming that limited public figure, or becoming a public figure because they're going on social media tours. So with that, I'm going to, as long as the weather holds out tomorrow, I'm going to try to come back tomorrow and do a nature stream. If you have any questions, like I said, or any comments, just leave them at the end, in the comment section of this video. And hopefully I will see some of you out there. Y'all be well, you be joyful, and remember, there are Crama Chameleons, there's drama chameleons. Um, Not everybody has your best interest at heart. And as some people have said, they're here to manipulate, they're here to cause a crisis, and they are those snake bitches. All right. See ya.